Yes, indeed. Overly dramatic intros for the win. This is Blue Please here on WoW Radio. Right, now, I shall make an announcement. Well, several announcements, in fact. Got myself a job today. Got myself a job in game, which is great because it's a staff discount. It's not so great because it's a lot of work. And that means on Tuesday, I will actually be working ridiculous hours and will not be able to do Iron Forged because I won't be here. I'll be earning money. And probably spending it on video games. They give me a staff discount. It's always lovely. So, I won't be there, unfortunately. I'll try and find someone to take over. Second thing is, I feel that my show is too long. 2 hours, especially when I'm having trouble finding content these days, just seems to be dragging on. And to be quite honest, I'd prefer to do an hour and a half of good stuff. Now, some of you may object. Some of you might say, oh, he's being lazy. How dare he? Live with it. It's a simple case of I'm not going to gibber on about absolutely nothing for an extra half an hour just for the sake of doing it. It seems pointless. Okay, back to the topic at hand. Now, I've actually had a chance to play the new Silithus content quite a lot recently. I've commented a little bit on it, but I've never really discussed it in great detail. So I'm going to do that right now. Now, when Silithus was first released, it was designed to be, supposedly, an epic questing area. Yes, I did say. Epic! A quest area that was shrouded in a storyline, had linked missions, etc., questing, solo and raid content, where there was just grinding before. And let's face it, Silithus was a dead zone. There was no reason to go down there, other than to perhaps farm Essence of Air. Have they made it better? Indubitably, absolutely. No two ways about it, it's better than it was. Of course it is. It's far superior to its usual grinding area, I'll tell you that for a fact. Is it what they aimed it to be? I don't know. That's a questionable, and that is the issue to deal with. So, let's take an example. I went into Silithus my first time. I visited the new quest hub. I picked up a whole bunch of stuff. Lots of things to do. Seemingly no pattern to it. Like, for instance, a quest which involved me getting a load of ridiculously low drop rate stuff to cure a goblin of poison. And another one that involved me killing a load of Twilight people. Blah, blah. I had no idea what was going on. As I continued to do the quests, I began to realise that there is actually a linked storyline going on here. There is something amiss in the land of Silithus. Something's wrong. Or we are here to find out why. We're Ghostbusters, and so forth. So, I went in, and I got on with the quests. And I did my first summon. I summoned an Abyssal Templar. Who's an Abyssal Templar? An Abyssal Templar is a member of the Abyssal Council. Who's the Abyssal Council? The shadowy organisation that is causing hassle down there. Why are the quests orientated that way? Because you're supposed to be investigating and eliminating them wherever possible. Okay, that's fine. That sort of makes a reasonable degree of sense. I've got a reason to be there. Whereas before, I don't really have a reason to be there. Why am I in Feralis? Why did I go to Feralis? There's no reason. Oh look, a quest hub. It's got quests. Let's do them. But why am I here? Why here rather than anyone else? Why? A very good question. And a question that does not necessarily have a satisfactory answer. The reason I'm in Silithus is to investigate the Abyssal Council and all the events leading up to the eventual opening of Anchorage. That's cool. That's a reasonable idea, and that's a reasonable reason to be there. So I'm there. I say, hey, this rules. Or do I? What's the quality of the questing like? Is it good enough? Is this the kind of thing you want to see them do in the future? Possibly, maybe. Maybe, possibly. I do not know. But I will try to speculate and give you my opinion on the matter. Now, some of the complaints are as regards to grindy quests. We all see them, we all hate them, we all know how many blind murlocs there are apparently in the world, that you simply cannot get those eyes off. Oh look, another murloc with no eyes. Or an example earlier in the Barrens, a bird with no kidney. Really? Wow, that's great. And you've seen them. They happens all the time. These quests are everywhere. And some of the Silithus content is guilty of it. For instance, the poison quest I was talking about earlier, I still haven't finished it, yet I have killed loads of the required mobs. The stuff just isn't dropping. However, the main point about that one is that's actually not one of the main quests. It's just a side quest. The main storyline quests are not as grindy. Now, when it comes to rep is always something I've had a problem with, because rep in itself requires the grind. It demands the grind. You must grind for rep. That's your only way. To prove yourself worthy of our revered status, you must kill 20,000 murlocs, or whatever. Right, okay. Understandable. Fair enough. Rep quests exist in Silithus, and I admit, I'm not even friendly yet. I'm halfway towards friendly, just over. I've just managed to get access to the quests that will really let me grind the rep, and that's the Twilight texts. You hand the texts in, you get rep. But here's the thing, and this is what really got me. There are two places to hand them in. Not only is there one in Cenarian Hold itself, but there is one in a cave with a hermit that you have to complete another quest line to be able to do. And what happens there? He gives you cash, and he sends you things in the mail. And these things consist of a variety of scrolls and the ability to summon the bigger bosses in Silithus. I find that quite cool. Why? Because there's an element of choice in there. If I have 60 texts, I can choose to give them to one person, the other, or split them between the two in either proportion I wish. Is that a good thing? Yes, it is, because it's a choice. If I don't wish to rep grind, I don't have to. If I wish to rep grind, I can. But the fact of the matter is, reputation is always going to be this way. How else? Unless you were to complete a ridiculously large quest line. And again, isn't that perhaps grinding? Won't some of those quests be grindy, in essence? Is there any way around it? Not in my opinion. I certainly can't think of anything. I don't know about you lot. If you can think of something, email themurloc@gmail.com. I honestly cannot think of a way around it. So is it acceptable? We're back in Silithus now. We're doing these quests. Take another example of a quest. To get an abyssal signet, or is it an abyssal seal? I can't remember which. I think it's a signet. I was very tired last night when I was grinding it. You have to get 3 pieces of a Twilight set. You have to dress yourself as a Twilight cultist, activate a Windstone. And out of that Windstone will spawn an Abyssal Templar. You then have to defeat it, and you have to kill it. If you don't kill it, it will despawn. I've been trying to solo it, and it has to be said, it's very annoying when they spawn an Ice Templar, because I can't kill it. I can't solo it because I can't kite it. Yes, I'm a hoary Ice Mage. Now, I find that kind of quest quite stimulating. It's fun. I'm working towards a goal that doesn't... It's a little bit more than, let's get 10 Murloc eyes. I've got to get the set. Okay, that's a bit grindy. Fair enough. Admittedly, I'm getting some nice cash from them, and they're a reasonable fight. They have some interesting abilities you have to combat, and it's quite a nice area to fight in. I then summon the Templar, and I defeat the Templar, I get the signet. Cool. It just seems to me to be a little more involved and involving than other quests are. I like it. It's good. It's grindy in places, but that's the way questing is. Can you remember a time in your WoW career where you have not had to grind at some point, whether it be quest-related or otherwise? Some people's definition of grind varies. Some people think that Molten Core is a grind, whereas I personally don't view it as one. Some people think that questing is not grinding. Some people think that grinding isn't grinding. Some people think it's a giant chicken. Who knows? You decide. It's a truly bizarre state of affairs. Questing is just going to be that way. It's that simple. In a game which is not primarily based on individual player skill, it's a time sink more than anything. I think the Silithus content is a step in the right direction. It would be nice if they revamped all the areas in that way. I would like a reason to be in certain areas, rather than just wandering in there. Some areas I was never told to go to. Some of them are connected. For instance, you'll get a call to the Western Plaguelands. You'll get a call to arms from various places. But some places, I could just wander in there, do the quests, and like, how did I get here in the first place? What am I doing here? What is the purpose of this area? Silithus has a purpose. Or so it seems. It may not be the best purpose in the world, but it is a purpose. It may not be the best quests in the world, but they are at least backed up with some kind of justification. They've hidden the grind within something which, in my opinion, is quite enjoyable. You may disagree with me. That's cool. But that's my opinion, and I can only express my opinion on the matter. Now, I've got a few shout-outs and such to do before the end of the show. So, let's see. Who wants a shout-out? I know someone wants a shout-out. A shout-out to the Violent Noise Guild on Maelstrom and Defies Brotherhood. That's from Hosier Schwag, if that is your real name. A shout-out to the Guild Protectors of Chaos on Rune Totem EU, currently raiding Astronar. Kill the nasty elves. Ugh. Shout out to Relentless on Ashara for Pony Alliance in Hillsbrad. We are all the same level. Always nice to hear. Let's see. Who else wants a shout out? I know someone else does. They're hidden among my many PMs of people asking, is role-playing a girl wrong when you're a balding 41-year-old? That comes from Link. No, it's not. Who else? Let's face it, if you were going to play a character on a server, would you prefer to, even were you male, would you prefer to look at a male troll's arse for 60 levels or a female night elf's arse? I know what I'd prefer. A shout out to Varska, because he wants one. Oh, great. A shout out to Lord Sokar because he helped me with the bloody quest in Silithus. Yes, he did. Oh god, the PMs are flooding in. A shout out to the Adventurers Inc. Guild again because they're greedy. Apparently. Shout out to Silo's homies on Burning Blade. Speaking of homies. Shout out to Ogramar Knitters for being just awesome. That's from Stinky Rick. Shout out to Earl. No, I'm not going to say that. That's unacceptable. Mispronounce Kun MP's name again. No problem. A shout out to Wolf's uncle in China. He won't be able to play WoW in over a week. Oh dear. A shout out to the Well of Wisdom on EU Silvermoon for getting Ragnaros to 89%. We got him to 79. Nah. A shout out to Bayard, if that's his real name, on Dark Iron Realm for hitting 40 before me. That's from Vevelix. A shout out to Blaze because he loves Herman Shredley. Don't we all? A shout out to Jack Thompson because you're about the funniest thing to come out of America ever. I think it's time for a little bit of rapping the forums. Oh dear.